Back in the early 1980s, we, the directors of our business, decided to run a company-wide competition which anyone could enter. We devised the rules so that everyone had targets regardless of their level of responsibility and experience. No one was disadvantaged and absolutely anyone could win. The prize would be something you wouldn't normally consider doing or booking. And that prize was a return day trip from Heathrow to the pyramids in Egypt on Concorde. Juicy. I managed to win the competition by a very short head and tickets were duly booked. But alas, 1 week before departure, we were informed that the company running the trip had gone bust. So, no Concorde. What a shame. I was asked what I would like to do instead, and rather than wait for another Concorde opportunity to appear, I suggested putting the value of the prize to a holiday trip to Florida for Sue, I and our then 3 children, all aged under 7. And so it came to pass. The stories I could tell about this 2-week break at Easter the following year are legion, even though, as far as the US Immigration Department was concerned, we were never there. I'd omitted to complete the requisite immigration form upon landing, probably something to do with lugging suitcases with no wheels, manhandling 3 children, and with airport staff taking pity on us and ushering us through quickly. Anyway, upon leaving Miami to come home, I was asked for this immigration form as proof that I had not exceeded my allotted stay, and said that I'd never had one and couldn't produce it. The man said quite loudly, "As far as we're concerned, you have never been to the United States of America," and ushered us off in the direction of our flight. I could have shouted back that the photographs would prove otherwise, but thought better of it. I've been since with no such problems anyway. We visited Disney, Epcot. Epcot, if you remember, stands for Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow, part of Disney World. We went to the Gulf Coast, a McDonald's restaurant for the first time, and generally had a memorable few days stay there. During our second week, we moved from Orlando to a condominium, a condo in Indian Shores overlooking the Gulf of Mexico, watching the prehistoric-looking pelicans flying past the window. We took advantage of the proximity of Tampa to visit the world-famous Busch Gardens. It was an easy hour's drive in our rented Chevy station wagon, taking the Long Road Bridge across Tampa Bay, listening to the local rock FM station playing good music, living the dream. Once off the I-275 and into Tampa itself, we managed to lose the signs for Busch Gardens, drove around for a bit and ended up in the wrong part of town, the part where there were big guys in baseball caps on every street corner, seemingly without much to do. Well, we were well and truly lost. I had to ask someone for directions. There was nothing for it. I played the Lost Brit card. So I was out of the car, walking up to the first burly guy with, "I'm sorry to trouble you, but we're from England and we're lost. We're trying to get to Busch Gardens." It seemed at first to be a bit of a standoff, no immediate reply. Perhaps he was deciding whether I was worth eating. I tried to let no sign of emotion show on my face, although my heart, I know, was beating rather quickly. Soon enough, a drawled response with instructions, which happened to be correct, and I smiled a thank you. He didn't smile back, so I was back in the car and we were away without too much indecent haste. I remember telling someone that we'd had to ask for instructions in this not-so-salubrious part of Tampa, and the first comment was, "And I hope you didn't get out of the car." There was a look of disbelief when I recounted what had taken place, a look that said, "Are you truly deranged or what?" We had a great time in Florida, even though we'd never officially been there. We managed to lose one child in Disney World. We were beside ourselves until we located him. He wasn't bothered at all. We dressed all 3 children in identical Mothercare tracksuits, making them easy to spot. This was fine until a fourth child in the same tracksuit appeared from nowhere and ended up in close proximity. A confusing moment. 1984 was less than 10 years after the end of the Vietnam War. We were reminded of this when the pilot of the shuttle plane between Miami and Orlando announced that our destination was now off the port wing and that "we're going in," as he banked the aircraft steeply and down to the airport. I imagined he said the same thing on a bombing mission in Vietnam. I never did get to fly on Concorde.